Hi, I'm William. I'm one of the third year medical students up here at Rockhampton. I live on site at the RCS accommodation, along with most of the other third years up here. The accommodation is made up of a block of 7 units, and there are about 4 students in each house. Since we all live so close together, there's always something going on and someone to have a chat to. As you've probably heard, the accommodation is pretty nice up here. Each room does have its own aircon, and there's an ensuite in each room as well. But the best part about the accommodation is probably that it's on the hospital grounds, so getting up 10 minutes before class starts is a pretty real possibility. There are enough things to do in and around Rocky to keep you busy as well. There are free tennis courts just up the road, and pub trivia during the week, as well as a local park run and all your normal variety of gyms and pools and all that. There's a surprisingly thriving brunch scene up here as well, and a decent variety of other restaurants, including a pretty worrying number of restaurants that will offer 1 kilogram steaks for anyone interested. For the weekends, Yeppoon is about a 45-minute drive away, and from there it's just another 30-minute boat trip over to Great Keppel Island, which is a pretty amazing place. So good luck for the whole placement selection process. No matter where you end up going, I think if you keep an open mind, you'll have a great year.
There, my name's Gabriel. I'm one of the tropic reps for Rockhampton this year. Rockhampton's been a really great experience for me this year. The rural clinical school has been great. The extra simulation labs that we get have been an amazing way to improve on clinical skills before practicing them in the real world. There's a library stocked with just about every textbook we could possibly want. The bedrooms are great. They're more than big enough for you to feel like you're in your own space, and you get your own bathroom too, which is great. You don't have to share with anyone else. Above all else though, everyone's been really friendly here. The staff are really great, they're really helpful, always happy to make time for you, and they do make time for you as well. And all of the students here, we all go out together, we all organise events together, and we all do things together. It's a really great social atmosphere here. As for the town itself, it's got just about everything that you could want up here. I personally don't feel like I've been missing out on too much compared to what is available in Brisbane. The supermarket's still stocked with all the same supplies. There's still plenty of great restaurants and cafes to go out to. There's still Uber Eats as well, and we're also very close to Yeppoon and Keppel Island, which are both great spots for day trips, and even camping on Keppel Island is really great too. I've had a great time up here, and I cannot recommend Rockhampton enough for everyone, and I hope you consider coming up here next year.
Hello, I'm Katie. I'm a third year up in Rockhampton, and I've been asked to tell you a bit about the town and the school, so let's start with the town.
So I've left my house for some solitary exercise. Thought it would be a good time to show you around. So here we are at the Rockhampton Botanic Gardens.
Ooh, so nice.
So expansive. The Rockhampton Zoo. It's closed, but when it's open it's really nice, and it's free entry, which is great when you're a student.
And that's all I can show you because everything else is closed, but I promise you there's lots of stuff to do here. There's good coffee shops. We do lots of stuff as a cohort, so we go to the Botanic Gardens on Saturdays for park run. We like going to trivia on Wednesday nights. I go on camping trips on the weekend to Great Keppel Island, which is the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. Beach days at Yeppoon, we go hiking. Okay, and the school. So one thing that really stands out for me from my experience here so far is actually in our first week of our surgery rotation, we got to the hospital and we all felt really not prepared in any way to cannulate or suture actual real humans. So we voiced our concerns to the RCS staff on site, and they actually just set up more workshops for us, which I really appreciate. I thought that was really great. And that's just kind of how it is here. Everyone's very helpful. The on-site staff is so lovely. And when you're in the hospital, it's the right size so that you get to know everyone on your team, and they're really keen to teach if you're keen to learn. So I know Rocky gets a lot of flack, but that's from students who aren't up here. Students up here, I mean, the satisfaction rate is really high. So I know it's far, but I'd recommend keeping it in mind.
Hey, so I'm James. I'm a third year student up at Bundaberg, and I've found it's been a fantastic time up here, and I'd recommend you come along. Part of the reason why it was so fantastic, and all this sort of applies before the coronavirus outbreak, was that, there's really a lot to do out here, and really, it was a really relaxed and fun lifestyle out here, So, students would regularly meet up and go to the beach. People would catch up for board games or for, potlucks every week or two. And there's a really, really nice sense of community around. And the other thing as well is that Bundy, despite being a town of roughly 100,000 people, it still has all the major amenities that you would expect to find in a major city. So you can still go shopping for most items that you'd be, needing. The accommodation itself is fantastic. Very cheap and very livable, and tons of support from other interns and JMOs and doctors and nurses who are all willing to educate you and put in shoots. And also the RCS staff are really willing to look after you, and it's a fantastic time, and I can really recommend the education you'll get up here.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a third year medical student here at the Rural Clinical School Bundaberg. Come with me and we'll have a bit of a tour, shall we? First things first, let's sign in. Alright, so this is our student learning and space. So we've got our computers over here, student library with dedicated books just for us, areas for study, and a lovely little kitchenette for having food and drinks any time of day. And we'll come down and have a look at the lecture theatres. So we've got 2 dedicated lecture theatres here with facilities for Skyping in for lectures and any other electronic purposes we need them for. And we'll go down and have a look at the clinical rooms. So this is the clinical simulation room in which we have a dummy set up that can show us a myriad of different conditions. And as you can see here, we can actually have different kind of layouts for the dummy for different situations. All right, thank you very much for joining me today here at Bundaberg Rural Clinical School.
Hey guys, I'm Oliver. I'm in 4th year at Hervey Bay this year. So the good thing about living at Hervey Bay is that everything's really close. If you own a car, everything is 10 minutes away from each other, which is really good. It's got everything we need, so gyms, shops, cafes, and there's a lot of sport for people to get involved in. And the thing for me that I like to do the most is music. So there's actually a small group of musicians here that also rehearse weekly. So that's good. Community really likes you to get involved with things as well. Everybody's really friendly and chatty. So that's the town itself. And the good thing about the RCS is that it's a separate little building. It's got all the facilities we need with computers, printers, student areas and whatnot. And the other best thing probably about the RCS is the staff that I find. So they're the most amazing group of people. If you ever have any problems with your studies or accommodation, or even if you just want to chat, they're happy to sit down with you and catch up. And the other thing, I guess, the main selling point about being rural is what I find is that there tend to be not as many patients on the teams, so doctors usually aren't as busy, and they're happier to help you out, with teaching or getting you involved, intern prep, stuff like that. That's pretty much it. So, and it's time for me to head in for my next ED shift.
Hello, I'm Angela and I'm a 3rd year based at Hervey Bay Rural Clinical School. I grew up in Maryborough, and although it wasn't my first choice, I'm really enjoying my year here so far. Coming home from Brisbane after 5 years was always going to be a unique and interesting experience, but the staff at the RCS, as well as the students, have been really welcoming, which has made the transition to phase 2 quite easy. So I started off with my GP placement, and I think knowing the area well, as well as some of the limitations that come with living regionally, I had a good insight into the need and the role of health professionals, as well as some of the challenges that they can face. And then going to Gayndah, I was exposed to a different community and started to get a real understanding and appreciation for rural medicine, as well as experience some of the preparations for the COVID-19 pandemic. The clinical skills training and simulations that are on offer at the RCS allow for a controlled yet still realistic learning environment. And having only a few students per tutorial means that the sessions are interactive and quite personalised. The staff at the RCS are really approachable and no question is too much trouble. We also have a lot of support from the community, whether it be through fundraising efforts or them volunteering their time to make us feel really welcome to the region. Hervey Bay has quite a laid-back lifestyle, which is a nice change from the city, but there are still lots of things to do and some great opportunities. So I hope you consider Hervey Bay.
Hi, I'm Kira. I'm a third-year student and I'm at Toowoomba this year. Toowoomba's really good. It's got maybe like 70-ish students and it's about an hour and a half away from Brisbane driving. One of the reasons I picked Toowoomba is because it's got good learning. So you're in smaller groups and they do more simulations and they do things like OSCE prep. You're held a little bit more accountable if you're not so good at studying yourself. It's also got a really good little community. So we do activities. We have like a touch team and we do a fitness club once a week. And also every Wednesday, everyone goes down to the local pub to play trivia. Accommodation wise, it's cheap. So it's $4,000 for the year in your first year. And if you choose to stay for another year, it's only $2,000. There's a few different like accommodation complexes. The one I live at is James Street. That's really good because it's walking distance to the hospital and also to the shops. But it is a little bit older and a little bit smaller. There are like newer, larger ones which are a little bit further away. You need to ride your bike or drive to come into the hospital.
Hey everyone, my name's Tom. I'm one of the fourth-year students at the Toowoomba Rural Clinical School. And I've been here for, this is my second year now. It's here in third year as well. And I think it's a really good opportunity to come out a little bit rural, even though you're only an hour and a half from Brisbane, so it's still pretty close. But there's some really great benefits to being in Toowoomba. I think it's definitely a great hospital environment. It's got a good culture amongst the doctors and they're all really friendly, and I can't say I've really had many bad experiences. But some of my favourite things to do apart from the hospitals are going to the many coffee shops. I think Cafe Valletta is definitely my favourite.
Hi, my name's Lauren and I'm one of the fourth year medical students at Toowoomba Rural Clinical School. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why I love being at the clinical school and why you should totally come to Toowoomba. One of my favourite things about being in Toowoomba is the awesome parks that you can go to and the different places that you can study outside. This is one of my favourite places to be. Unfortunately, it's closed because of isolation, but I'll see if I can sneak you over the top so you can have a look. As I was saying, Toowoomba is really well known for all of its parks and its nature. One of the things that's really awesome is the Flower Festival. This is Laurel Park. It's a beautiful area that you can go for walks, you can play some games and hang out and have tea. Another thing that I've really enjoyed being at the Toowoomba Clinical School is being a part of the community. So this is the community not only within the students and the rest of your faculty, it's a community in Toowoomba. So everyone here is extremely friendly and they're always really happy to help you out. So walking down the street, saying hi to people, there's always lots of dogs around if you love them, but also being a part of the Toowoomba RCS. It has a really great feel because there's always activities run, whether that's the trivia on a Wednesday night at the Spotted Cow or trips to the Baker's Duck, some of the amazing pastries that you've probably seen on people's Instagrams. There's always something happening. I was in the student accommodation for both last year and this year, and I've really enjoyed that because you always have people around, whether it's to play a sneaky board game at the end of the day or to study together. You never really feel like you're ever lost in the system. That's something I've really enjoyed being a part of because sometimes it's really intense being in med, and so it's really nice to have some time to chill out.